On a Wednesday to BYU Sports Nation in Studio B, and as promised, we bring in a multiple-time national champion.
No, I thought it was 3.
4 times.
It's actually 4.
And he's coached a national championship team as of last year.
Individuals.
That's right.
And been in the Olympics. He's probably our most decorated guest of all time, question mark?
His name is Ed Eyestone. He joins us now on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline via Zoom. Coach, besides Olympian and multiple-time national champion and head coach, what do you want to come next on your resume?
Well, I just think, hopefully a successful husband and father and grandfather, I think, are probably the most important titles that I could hold currently. But no,
you got some work to do.
Hey, we can always improve. We can always improve. Actually, I've been home a lot more over the last 4 or 5 months, so maybe I have increased a little bit in that category. But we've had some great teams and we've had some great accomplishments. We hope to get this back on track, no pun intended, and actually have a chance to compete as a cross-country team, have a chance to defend our title. That's kind of our unofficial theme for the fall, DOT. Defend our title. And it looks like, we're trying to be as optimistic as possible that cross-country will happen in the fall and that, of course, track and field will happen in the springtime.
So let's talk about that, because the West Coast Conference announced last Thursday specifically, that they're delaying the fall sports season until September 24th. 7 of the 10 teams in the league are from California. This is a California-based move, right? Yet BYU has been at the forefront of being able to get back, train and whatnot. At least we've heard in football, soccer and volleyball. How's it been for your runners?
Well, I tend to be a glass is half full kind of guy, rather than glass is half empty. So when I had that kind of emergency Zoom meeting with my team last week ahead of the WCC announcement to tell them what was going on, I told them that I preferred to look at it as a positive move, because rather than the West Coast Conference doing what a couple of other conferences have done and just maybe pulled the trigger on the season a little early, I'm glad that they're going to take a few more weeks to gather some more data points and to make sure that we can get the season going. So I really feel like it's a good move. I think that gives us a chance to continue to train, continue to hope for a season, continue to make some adjustments. And really the only thing that it costs us by delaying the start of our season to September 24th, it does cause us to have to cancel our first meet of the year, the Autumn Classic, which we always enjoy, and we usually have a high school invitational along with that. So it's a great opportunity for us to show our talent of our team and also to do some recruiting at home. So we're going to have to postpone that, put that off, and probably do a later home meet. But really, I can accomplish that same thing by having a hard workout that weekend or a time trial with the team to kind of see where I'm at. So really, the way that I pitched it to my team was, this is a good thing for us because it means the West Coast Conference is taking this serious, and they want to give us an opportunity, hopefully, to be able to participate later in the season, as long as the NCAA goes in that direction.
BYU track and field cross-country coach Ed Eyestone with us on BYU Sports Nation. Coach, when you think about just the dynamics of the sport, cross-country specifically, and social distancing and trying to keep athletes healthy and safe, is this a sport where you feel like you could do this relatively easy compared to, I don't know, football or even basketball?
Yeah, I do. And last week I have some professional runners that I coach, and they were involved in a track event called the St. George Shootout. And they took some preemptive measures, which I think could be done in our sport in particular. The preemptive measures were that everyone who competed in that race had to have a COVID test prior, and then also went through the temperature and the question survey the actual day of, but they had to do a COVID test in the week prior, and also do a kind of a pinprick test the day before to make sure that they hadn't been reinfected over that period of time. And I think our athletes certainly, at the extreme, I think we could kind of follow a protocol like this prior to races. And I know that even though it wasn't the most comfortable thing in the world, because the coaches had to do the nasal swab as well for the COVID test, it wasn't the most pleasant experience in the world. But I think our athletes would welcome doing that 3 or 4 times during the course of the year, as opposed to just canceling the season outright.
Is there a situation where the NCAA says, hey, you got to test often, like not only weekly, but in certain sports, it sounds like they want to test every day or every other day. And I'm thinking, who can afford this besides some of the Power Fives, if that, because they're going to lose a lot of revenue anyway. So it feels like we're going to have to come to some kind of situation, Ed, where how many tests is enough and what's the tolerable risk?
Well, I know, again, all I can do is kind of quote what this race did last week. And that was they had them do the test a week prior to, and then the day before they had a blood test that theoretically could have picked up any infection that they would have had since the actual COVID test. Now, with cross country, well, we really only have 4 big races, really 3 big races over the course of the season. And that's usually late in the season in terms of the conference meet, the regional meet, and the national meet. And I don't think, to have to do a COVID test 3 times and get kind of your certification of non-COVIDness would not be, I think, that prohibitively expensive or damaging. And could be a very good thing and allow us to have our sport. And I don't know that it would have to come to that, but certainly one of the things that I do, I was gone for a week on a family trip to Yellowstone, so I came back and kind of missed out at everything that had happened over the last week. But what I did initially is I just, and what I do usually most days is I Google NCAA football, because football is the dog that wags the tail of cross country. And so what I am hoping for, obviously, is that we have football. We need football financially to keep the NCAA sports solvent. And so I'm following what's going on there. I'm assuming that if we do have football, that we can do a sport like cross country, and we do it responsibly, and we can make this happen. And now, if there's an announcement that comes out that they've decided to postpone football till the spring or whatever, then I would anticipate that cross country might get either eliminated for the year or tried to work into a springtime scenario as well. But I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping that we can roll forward. Obviously, we need to be responsible with the things that we're doing. We need to be wearing our masks. We need to be washing our hands. And we need to be doing all the things that we have been asked to do. But I think that, I'm like to be optimistic. I'm hoping and looking for that they can come up with a vaccine as soon as possible, and then we go forward.
Ed, as we all hope for football, and it's just another reason, do it for cross country. Dang it, give them an opportunity to defend their national championship.
Let's go.
While we wait, what is the typical day like for you as a coach, and in terms of training for your athletes right now?
Yeah, well, we have a once a week Zoom meeting, kind of devotional, just to check on everybody. And then periodically throughout the week, I'll meet with my athletes, usually via Zoom or FaceTime, sometimes individually in the office, although I haven't been going into the office every day. And just to go over mileage to see how their summer training is going. Usually at this time in the year anyway, I'm not allowed to directly be working with the athletes. Although the way that things have kind of played out, I think I am now allowed to meet with them more than I normally would be this time of year. At least that's my understanding as compliance has laid it out. So, but I can do most of the things that I do from home, that I typically do in the office, and that's go through the emails and I've got a Zoom meeting later on in the day with the West Coast Conference to kind of go over the latest. One of the things that I'm going to propose to them is certainly we are concerned, and like I said earlier, the West Coast Conference, I think, made a good decision in terms of postponing our initial events until after September 24th, because they want us to see how this thing goes. And I respect the fact that they just did cancel the seasons outright. And I think they want to see things move forward as well. And so I'll have a Zoom meeting along with all the other coaches of the West Coast Conference a little bit later in the day. And one of the things I am going to tell them is, regardless of what the West Coast Conference decides to do about conference play, I'm hoping that they give us the viable option if they decide to say, hey, this is getting bad enough here that we're not going to hold our conference meet, that they would still allow us, for those schools that can and are in a position to compete in the regional meet, compete at the NCAA championships. And so, and having talked to them and to some of the administrators in the West Coast Conference offices, I feel like that's the direction they're going to do. They would give us the autonomy to compete postseason. So that's I think is a good move on their part.
Ed, great insight. Great to catch up with you. And for the record, as good of a runner as you were and coach you are right now, you're a better man and father, and we mean that.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I think my daughters and wife on my best days would probably say that as well. So thank you.
You got it, Ed. We'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, take care, guys.
Coach Ed Eyestone on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, you know why, we show how.
Coming up, Yoli